friends, today we're going to be talking about mind management. And the reason why we're going to be talking about mind management is because I think it's better than other management styles for your productivity. More specifically, I've tried every other style and I find that managing your mind is the ultimate key to success. Now, mind management to me are three different things. Number one is your emotions, or really how you're feeling. Number two is your energy, or your willpower that you have. And number three is kind of a lumped category. Those are all the stresses, the anxiety, things that really bring clutter to your brain. But viewing your productivity from this lens of mind management really helps you see where you can be more effective. You'll know when you're in a better mood so that you can get more done. You'll know when you have that willpower to push through to complete something. And last but not least, you'll be able to declutter your mind by just getting the things out of your head and only worrying about things that you should worry about. For me personally, I've found that managing my emotions has been probably the key to most of my mind management. I would say that I'm generally a positive person, but some days will get you down and other days will get you kind of peeved. So what do you do in those days where you're kind of down in the dumps, or you're angry at something, or you just don't feel like doing it? Well, my answer would be to focus on your emotion, what you can control. There's always going to be things that you can't control. Maybe your boss is on your back. Maybe somebody didn't do something that you really need to get done. This is really our locus of control. If we can't control the external factors, we really shouldn't worry about it. But rather, we should be thinking about what we can influence, kind of our internal locus of control. These are the things such as, can you send that email to kind of release that burden of your boss on your back? Can you send a message to the person who let you down and that kind of bothered you? Can you talk about it with them? Now, those are all things that are actually in your locus of control, things that you can actually do. And so when you're managing your emotions, you have to kind of think of it in those two concepts. What can I actually influence and what can I not influence? And the hardest part of this is you have to be able to let go. I know that's easier said than done, but you have to let go of the things that you ultimately cannot control. You can't control other humans and how they think and how they feel. You can't control what happens in the world or the events surrounding it. But you can control how you feel about them. And that's why I think emotion is the most important. So now moving on to this idea of like your mental energy and your willpower. Every day we kind of have a battery gauge of 100%. After we're done sleeping, we wake up energized, recharged, and we have that battery that we're going to kind of deplete throughout the day. Well, you have two different batteries. You kind of have your mental battery, and then you also have your physical battery. They tend to go hand in hand. If you kind of deplete your physical battery, your mental battery is going to deplete with it. If you deplete your mental battery, it's going to be very hard to kind of do things physically. So there's a delicate balance that we need to kind of have with both of these different batteries. But you can also use these batteries to your advantage. If you, say, wanted to get your mind off of things, you might be able to leverage more of your physical battery than your mental battery. And vice versa, if you're super tired or exhausted and you just want to kind of relax by watching something compelling or seeing a new movie that you haven't seen yet, you can use that mental battery to kind of go through that. But the key idea is that we have a mental battery that we have to deal with every single day. When that's gone, it's gone. You really can't recover it. You can't recharge it. The first thing is just knowing that you really can't recharge it. But it's really hard to recharge a battery, at least in my opinion. We've all had those really long nights or even drinking a lot of caffeine to get through them, but they're not really that sustainable. And so just kind of knowing that you can't recharge your battery helps you kind of get into the mindset of knowing how you can prepare for the next day. And the best way that you can prepare is getting a lot of sleep, eating healthy, drinking a lot of water, those different types of things. But let's also talk about willpower, because it's a little bit different than our mental energy. Willpower is very similar. You can't recharge it and you only get a finite amount every single day. And there will be things every day that kind of deplete your willpower, or at least chunk away at it. These are normally the things that you don't even want to do, or you don't really have passion for them, but they still chunk away at your willpower. So one of the best things that I've found is that when you have a large amount of your willpower, you should use it as soon as you can on the things that you really care about or that you will find, effective in your life. In other words, you have to be a really good decision maker to use your willpower effectively. This is saying no to a lot more things. Because most of the time when we say yes to things, they aren't the things that we truly care about. And so it's reasonable to really protect your time, your energy, your mental well-being by saying no. And that's okay. This makes room for you to say yes to the things that truly matter to you. These are the things that are going to get you one step closer to your goals and really your dreams. And so being able to manage your willpower is pretty important. Now, there's one thing that I think most productivity gurus will agree on. That is to write things down. Humans really weren't made to store a lot of information in our brains at once. In fact, our brains should really only hold like 7 items at a time. And for our long-term memory, it could be a lot more, but still not as much as we hold today. And the more things that we hold in our brain, of course, the more kind of stress and anxiety that we bring upon ourselves. These could be simple things like a to-do list, or an event coming up, or even just thinking about social media. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of declutter your brain in this fashion. I think the most important one is to write things down. And once you're done kind of writing things down, you can start to kind of optimize the other things that kind of bring clutter to your life every day. These are things like being a little bit more intentional with what you consume on the internet. This could be a thing like an information diet, which can really help you understand where your time is being dedicated to, but also what's on your mind with regards to what you're consuming. And of course, there are nuclear options as well. You can become more of a digital minimalist, or you can really just start to get rid of the things that aren't serving you. And in the future, we'll talk a little bit more about digital minimalism and how you can kind of cut down on that a little bit further. But for the most part, those are the 3 things that I think would really help you be more productive by just managing your mind. All of your productivity comes directly from your brain. And if your brain isn't functioning to the potential that it can, you won't be as productive as you want to be. As soon as I started to see this and implemented it in my own life, I saw my productivity just skyrocket. It wasn't just the fact that I was getting a lot more done, but I was also working on the things that I am truly passionate for. And of course, I started to say no to a lot more things that I honestly didn't care about. And ultimately, with mind management, I think that this helps us live at least a happier life as human beings. And so with that, I'm gonna leave you until next week. I hope that you can find a way to kind of manage your mind in the next month, and let me know in the comments of if these things helped you. Until then.